Greetings out there to everybody in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. Got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQTurns20. Let's get started today. First one comes from James V. Hi Aaron, will Rusev versus Macaulay Culkin happen at WrestleMania? Should it happen? What do you think? I have no idea if Macaulay Culkin is going to show up at WrestleMania. There has been the social media messages back and forth between him and Rusev. WWE has even acknowledged the social media interactions. That doesn't mean Macaulay Culkin is going to be at WrestleMania. Remember, Big Show and Shaq were teasing a match for the longest time, and it never happened. I think if Macaulay Culkin showed up, it would be for comedy purposes. Him and Rusev would do some sort of comedy skit and not necessarily a full-blown match. As I mentioned on previous videos on NoDQ Live and on the NoDQ Review, I would like to see Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern show up if Macaulay Culkin is going to show up and do just a full-fledged WWE version of Home Alone. That would be awesome. That would be really entertaining. And I would be okay if Rusev got made a fool of in that segment because it would just be so entertaining and unforgettable. I'm like, whatever. Rusev's not going to be pushed as a main eventer most likely, so why not do something fun with him and have a memorable moment? I think it's a lot better than Rusev just being a body in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I think him doing a skit with Macaulay Culkin would be a lasting moment, something that people would remember for years to come. It would be a highlight for Rusev, not just career-wise, but also on a personal level, getting to do something with Kevin McAllister. I would certainly jump at the chance to do it. And if they could get Joe Pesci, that would be gold. That would just be amazing. But I'm not getting my hopes on it. I still think it's a long shot at best. But never say never. Macaulay Culkin did do an indie wrestling appearance a couple of months ago. So anything's possible. It is WWE. Anything can happen. Never say never. Got this one here from That's Gotta Be Kane. Ultimate Deletion was the single dumbest thing I have ever seen in my life, and I've seen all the Starship Trooper movies and watched Trump get elected president. This was the most painful thing for me to watch. What did we do to deserve this horrific segment? So, by the way, everything he said in that tweet doesn't necessarily reflect the opinions of myself and everyone else at NoDQ.com. Just throwing that out there. So let me just say that I enjoyed Ultimate Deletion for the most part. I know some people loved it, some people hated it, but like I've said on NoDQ Live and other videos, I applaud the effort in doing something different. I like the creativity. I like chances being taken. It wasn't perfect in my opinion. It was flawed. I felt it was overproduced, and it's hard to do something that is memorable as the original, as it is often with sequels. But I still enjoyed it. I don't think it was terrible. It is one of those segments where you need to check your brain at the door, and it's really not something you can suspend disbelief with. It's purposely over the top and comedic and just off the wall. But at the same time, it was entertaining, and at the end of the day, the goal is to entertain people. I can see both arguments. I thought it was alright. I did not think it was horrific. Should it be done all the time? No. But every once in a while, if you want to do something outside the box and shake things up a little bit, by all means, if it adds to the show and creates a little bit of variety, then I'm all for it. Got this one here from Walter Alexis Cruz. Hey Aaron, do you think WWE should do the unexpected and not have Undertaker respond to Cena at all? Then at WrestleMania, Cena comes out for a promo and Undertaker comes out for an unannounced match. In the old days, prior to the network, I would say that's a terrible idea. But now, in this era, when you're just paying $9.99 or in some cases you're getting a free trial, then it doesn't really matter if you have a major match not hyped up before the pay-per-view and you leave a big question mark going into the show. When we did the NoDQ review this week, Greg Cherry did bring up this very idea that maybe Undertaker doesn't appear at all until WrestleMania to challenge John Cena. The only flaw I see in doing this is if Undertaker is coming back as the American Badass, which I think he should. I think he should at this point. If Undertaker comes back as American Badass, then you would think that Kid Rock is going to do his intro. And if Undertaker shows up randomly at WrestleMania and Kid Rock is all rehearsed and is playing the song, then it's going to be hard to suspend disbelief for that segment. But I just talked about Matt Hardy in that previous question. So, you know, it just depends on how you feel about Undertaker and what's the most effective way to utilize him for WrestleMania. For me personally, I'd rather see Undertaker show up at the very end of Raw on the go-home edition leading up to WrestleMania, and he just comes out, he does that old Judgment Day 2000 intro, he rides his bike to the stage, and he just has that stare down with Cena, points at the sign, you know, you got to point at the sign, it's WrestleMania season, and that's the end, leading up to WrestleMania, and that's the final build. I think that that would be a great cliffhanger and build anticipation. If there's no Undertaker, then some fans might feel he's not going to show up, and that might kill off some of the anticipation and some of the hype for it. You know, it's all about anticipation. Each day that passes leading to the pay-per-view, you get more and more excited about it, and when it's 100% confirmed, I feel like it creates more excitement. I think if you don't have Undertaker show up at all, then people are like, well, maybe he's not showing up, and they just don't get that excited for it. So I do feel it's a flawed approach, but it could work. I'm not going to say that it would not work. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. When should The Undertaker return? Should he be the American Badass? Lots of questions. What do you guys think are the correct answers? Go ahead and leave a comment. Got this one here from JJA Sports Studio. Do you think it is a smart idea WWE will do the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia due to the matter the country is known for government violating human rights? Like for hanging people who are homosexual? WWE has ran shows in Saudi Arabia before, and people haven't really said anything. WWE is a worldwide brand. They're trying to expand into new territory all the time. As a business approach, I think WWE is doing the right thing here. They're trying to expand into other markets. There's a lot of money to be made in Saudi Arabia. They're making a ton of money with this deal, and it's good business for WWE. Is it bad publicity? I mean, that's the country Saudi Arabia. You can't really blame WWE for the way the country is running itself. But if WWE can get into that country and perhaps influence people there, and you know, they're making baby steps in other countries. They did that show in Dubai recently where the women actually got to compete. So progress is being made, and I think the more WWE and Western entertainment brands come to these countries, that perhaps the culture will change over time and people will become more progressive in these countries. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that WWE is doing this. I think if anything, it could help with progress and introducing Western ideas and ways of life into these countries. So my take on it is it's fine. WWE is running a business here. There's a lot of money to be made, a lot of opportunities to expand their brand, and it might lead to positive change in that country in the future if WWE can develop a strong working relationship with this country. Got this one here from @DJ Birdie Booster. Hey Aaron, in the Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax match at WrestleMania, what do you think about Bliss trying to pull her hurt elbow gimmick for sympathy from Nia, only for Nia to no-sell it to finally conquer the goddess? I like it. I think it's a clever idea for the match. I think with the size difference, Alexa is going to need to use every little trick in the book in order to beat her. I'm guessing Mickie James will be at ringside, will probably play a role in the match. There'll be outside interference. Alexa can use that trick. You know, it's WrestleMania, so why not use that tactic at WrestleMania? But this time, it's not going to work. Everyone knows her trick, and Nia Jax isn't going to fall for it. So I think in this match, and, you know, I will discuss the predictions more when we do the actual video for predictions, but I sense that Nia Jax should be winning this, you know, with this storyline where she's being insulted and fat-shamed. She's got to come back strong, I think, at WrestleMania and send a strong, positive message and be an influence for people, a positive role model. I think Nia Jax should be picking up the win at WrestleMania. So, yeah, Alexa will use all of her tricks, but it won't be enough, and Nia Jax will overcome the odds and become the new champion. I mean, you got to somehow make Nia Jax an underdog if possible. You know, you got the size difference, so you really have to show that Alexa Bliss, I'm thinking of Elias for some reason, Alexa Bliss, she's going to use every shortcut, everything to try and outsmart Nia Jax at WrestleMania. That's what makes sense to me, at least. Got this one here from James. Is it just me that would like to see Heath Slater turn on Rhino, they're nothing now, and beg Braun to be his partner each week leading to Mania because he's got kids? Kane, Elias, and other rumors don't make sense to me as he's been rivals with them all recently. Well, I did explain recently why somebody like Samoa Joe or Elias or even Kane would work as a partner, because it would create a tag team that doesn't necessarily have the ability to work together in order to focus on a common goal. They might be at each other's throats, and it might lead to their downfall. So I think it does make sense when you look at it from that perspective. Heath Slater, the problem with Heath Slater being the partner of Braun Strowman is that it turns the match into comedy. And do you really want Braun Strowman, who's being pushed as a main event superstar, do you really want him being in a comedy match and doing comedy with Heath Slater? And same for the Bar, for that matter. This is a match that should be taken seriously. Do you really want to implement comedy into it? I don't know if that's a good idea. I personally don't think it's a good idea, but maybe it would add to the show. Maybe it would make the show more entertaining. And going back to earlier, sometimes you just gotta go with what's going to entertain the masses. So again, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a good idea? Who should be Braun Strowman's partner? I've seen various opinions on it. A lot of people think nobody. A lot of people think Braun should just go at it alone. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. What do you think about this Heath Slater idea? Yay or nay? Let me know. Got this one here from Answer Me Aaron. Would you like to see the SmackDown Tag Team titles defended in a ladder match or TLC match with the Usos, New Day, Bludgeon Brothers, and maybe Gable and Benjamin thrown in too? I think it would be nice to see a tag team ladder match at WrestleMania again. Well, it was just done last year. With that being said, I do like the idea of a ladder match at WrestleMania just for the sake of it being something different and having some variety on the show. We got a lot of triple threat matches and tag team matches. So I like when you have some kind of stipulation to make it a little bit different and add some variety to the card. Plus, it gives Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable an opportunity to do something other than the Andre Battle Royal. But I really feel the strongest match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles is the triple threat. WWE did the big angle at the pay-per-view to set up Usos versus New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. That's the angle that was done. That's where the buildup has been. So at this point, adding Gable and Benjamin, I think really would not work given the build for this match. But I would like to see a ladder match, maybe the IC title. I feel I'd rather see the tag team title match just be the 6 guys, and instead of doing 2 triple threat matches for the singles mid-card titles, taking one of those matches and adding more participants. Quite frankly, I think the IC title match should be the ladder match and add a few more people to that one. But again, I'll go to you guys. What do you think? If any of these matches should have more participants and be a ladder match, which one would it be and why? Leave a comment. Got this one here from Justin. Hey yo Chico, have you watched the Johnny Bravo steroids movie and what do you think of it? Well, considering I reported on it on NoDQ.com, I hope I watched it. It would be pretty dumb if I posted stuff on NoDQ.com without actually watching the documentary. So yeah, I did watch the documentary, and I wasn't surprised at all by how it turned out. I figured going in, Bravo had no real evidence on Roman Reigns, and sure enough, he doesn't. He's claiming that there's other computers that the DEA still has, and that might have some concrete evidence, and he can cross-reference and have definitive proof that Roman Reigns was buying steroids. I feel like if there was something, it would have been out by now. And the fact that Bravo kept teasing it week after week after week when he really had nothing was, you know, shady. That's how I see it. And he was even using Luther Reigns to throw off people. And I saw it as just him trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. That's just my opinion on it. I mean, maybe his heart's in the right place. Who knows? But I feel like there was really no substance to what he had. And he's trying to say, oh, Reigns wasn't part of this documentary. But he was using Reigns in his thumbnails. He was using Reigns in his headlines. He knew it was generating traffic to his YouTube page and giving him publicity. So it is what it is, as I would like to say here on NoDQ.com. So yeah, I wasn't really blown away by it. But at the end of the day, I wasn't surprised with how it turned out. Got this one here from Brian. Looking back in hindsight, if it was your decision, who would you have had run over Stone Cold Steve Austin? Who would you have booked to run him over? And who would you have booked to be the higher power? Good questions. Regarding Steve Austin and the car angle, Triple H. I know that was the predictable route. Everyone thought it was Triple H coming off of the Survivor Series 99 pay-per-view. It felt like it was Triple H. He was really the only person that made sense in the storyline. I would have just gone the predictable route. I think having it be Rikishi was a swerve for the sake of doing a swerve. And I feel like it really damaged Rikishi's career. Rikishi was on fire in 2000 with Too Cool. He was a hot act, and he cooled off significantly when he turned heel. I think it was a big mistake, and WWE realized it and did go with Triple H eventually, but it should have been Triple H from the get-go instead of WWE trying to swerve people. It felt like they just pulled Rikishi's name out of a hat and said, okay, it's going to be Rikishi. The higher power, I feel, is a tougher question to answer because they were hyping it up as a really big deal, and it needed to be somebody significant. The problem is they really had nobody significant to go with. There was a rumor, I think, at the time about Christopher Daniels possibly being the higher power. The problem is he didn't have the star power to really fit in that role with the way they were hyping it up and acting like this is somebody who has even greater influence and power than The Undertaker. So at the end of the day, WWE, booked themselves into a corner. They did all this hype for it, so they had to have somebody significant in that role. and it ended up being Vince McMahon. Really didn't make any sense whatsoever in the storyline because Vince was against The Undertaker, and are we really supposed to believe that for 3 months he was feuding with these guys and it was all part of a plan to screw Steve Austin? It was really far-fetched. But I will say they made it work to the best of their ability. Jim Ross was great reacting to it. Vince was great. Steve Austin was great. I mean, they did make it entertaining and somehow made it work despite the angle really making no sense at all. But I don't know a good answer to that. Who should have been the higher power? I can't think of a name at the time that would have really fit other than Vince. I just don't know. Got this one here from Boogeyman79. Hey Aaron, if you could put together your WrestleMania dream match, past and present, who would you pick? I'd say Adam Cole, AJ Styles, and a young Shawn Michaels. Your thoughts? Well, you're focused on work rate. If I was going to go with work rate, I would say Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart or Kurt Angle versus Daniel Bryan, which could be a reality, actually. But it would be awesome to see Kurt Angle in his prime versus Daniel Bryan in his prime, and maybe Daniel Bryan's best years are still ahead of him. Who knows? Now that he's coming back. But looking at it from a star power perspective, Hulk Hogan versus Steve Austin. To me, that was the biggest match that WWE never did one-on-one at WrestleMania. The other big match, Goldberg versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania. Imagine if Goldberg showed up at the end of WrestleMania 17, WWE bought out his Time Warner deal, and Goldberg came out there and sabotaged the main event of WrestleMania between Austin and The Rock. You set up the invasion the right way. You build up the WCW guys as equals, give them their own show. A year later, WrestleMania 18, Steve Austin of the WWE versus Goldberg of the new, stronger, branded WCW as the main event of WrestleMania. To me, that would have been the biggest match in wrestling history. But didn't turn out that way. The cards did not align. I think WWE could have done more, but they didn't. And again, it is what it is. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest WrestleMania 34 news and rumors. And I will see you guys next time.